everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot. And then, of course, a warm welcome to those of you who are joining for the first time. Today, we're looking back at your soulmate situation. We're going to see if your person is likely to return. So, this is one of those ones for those people who are in separation, or at least emotional separation. So I will acknowledge after some conversations with um, some of you are able to see your person right across the room from you, but you're still wishing for them to return to you in an emotional sense. So this one needed to be a pick a pile because when I started meditating on it, there were just multiple paths and places you could be on the path. So this was really the best way. And, of course, you guys know these are general readings. They may not resonate with everyone, but you get to pick a pile, which is helpful because it lets you get the best reading for you, and then you can watch more than one possibility. So if you like the videos, if you feel like they resonate, please be sure to like and share and subscribe so you'll be able to stick with me. We have a pretty amazing collective that's going here, and you guys are really awesome. I have really enjoyed interacting with you guys online. Um, I just thank you for telling me what you really need to hear about. And this pick a pile reading, I feel like after the conversations that I've had, several people need today. So it's time to get started picking out your pile. You can see this is the amethyst reading today. Pile one has this rough cut amethyst. Um, Pile two has a geode with amethyst crystals, and pile three might be a little bit harder to see, has a smooth, tumbled amethyst. And so, as I always say, don't overthink it. Just let yourself drift toward one of the piles. Breathe. You can always watch more than one reading if you feel drawn to do so. And of course, pause the video if you have to. So if you chose pile one, it's going to be coming right up. For piles two or three, you can get to the linked timestamps down below. So if you look in the below video text. So pick your pile and let's get started. All right, so as we look at pile one first, this is the pile with the rough cut amethyst. So if you chose from all of the amethysts, the rough cut amethyst, I'll be reading for you from the Radiant Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Mystic Mondays deck. So we'll go ahead and get started. And again, we're looking at whether your person is likely to return to you. And I want to start by getting the current energy between the two of you because as you'll notice, there's been a lot of movement in the energy through, if you look at the Soulmate series just in general. And that's a playlist that after I started receiving questions for this channel, I put together because it was such a common thread. But you'll notice the current energy is always very telling when you first get in. Single card, Two of Wands. Okay, so here is another recurring theme that we've seen across the Soulmate series readings. Okay, so if you want to go back, catch a couple of those, they're getting to be a wealth of them. So these are the majority of the questions that I'm getting from people. And this current energy, like what we see here, is oftentimes it's some version of where they are in this path. So we've seen over and over again this Two of Wands come out in reverse. And this is about the two of you having some emotional distance to cover. In some cases, there's also a physical distance, but this is about having that emotional distance to cover. And in this case, with it in reverse the way it is, that distance is not being crossed. So we'll take a look a little bit more deeply into it when we go to clarify. But right now, that's sort of that's the current energy that's happening between the two of you. So let's get in a little bit more deeply with your person, see how they're feeling about the relationship overall. This is another one of those things that brings out some very interesting answers throughout the Soulmate series because, first of all, especially when you have a pick a pile, you have the opportunity for fine tuning the answers. But there are still some patterns that we've noticed here. So I guess let's see what comes out here and how they feel about the relationship. And this is their feelings about it. Sometimes what we get is very deep. Sometimes we get is just how what they feel like when they look at it. And this is all right. The star in reverse. It has that immediate sense of divine timing, but it also is, a star is a wish. It's manifestation that comes through because of divine support, and it's very much going to be in, we don't have control over the timing and how these things unfold. It's just you've put this out there to the universe and it's going to happen in its own time. That's something that they recognize, and it almost feels like this is part of the new shift. So we had a reading not too long ago where we were looking at what had shifted in the soulmate dynamic, and it was really about their awareness, some of the things that had shifted for them. This has that same sort of feeling to it. So not necessarily that it's brand new, suddenly it's this epiphany. It's more like it's come a little bit more into clarity for them. So that's how they're feeling about the relationship. Like they know that the time is going to come. They also understand that it may not, when the experiences that you've had in the past, the time was not then. The time may be approaching. They just recognize that it's one of those things where the time has to be right. So let's see how they feel about you over here. This is how they're feeling about you. All right. And, I just take the top card when I have multiples turn over in the deck like that. So we have the Knight of Wands in reverse. The Knight of Wands in the upright is a very forward, um, passionate action, movement forward. Knights are a card of action, and wands are fire energy, very passionate. In the reverse, like this, it's like that passion is being blocked, and it is directly as a result of this dynamic here. So we know maybe the time hasn't yet come or maybe had not yet come, and we also know there's an emotional distance, an emotional expanse that has to be crossed in order for the two of you to be able to come together and be successful. So what I'm seeing here is a lot of potential, but there's still time that has to happen, and there's still something has to change in order for this two of wands to come upright so the two of you can meet in the middle across that emotional expanse. Let's take a look at what your person would like to have happen here. So this is going to show us their hopes and fears a little bit too. Okay, so page of wands in reverse, and yeah, this is a person who's a little bit how can I put this? Things have been a little bit tough for both of you, I guess, in this. So there is this pulling on them, this gnawing on them that they kind of can't look away from. It's hard to explain. So the page of wands in the upright is like a curious page, very passionate, moving forward. Pages are also cards of communication. And so it can be a passionate communication, but there's this youthfulness to it, and it's sometimes it's moving forward without always having the best plan in mind. And so here you have this person who kind of still can't resist your energy, but also maybe is a little bit more aware that they aren't quite sure how best to move forward. And they're a little bit more aware that this is something that has begun to weigh on them a little bit, even from an energetic standpoint, and they almost wish that they didn't feel as curious about it. um, that's interesting. I'd like to see what comes out when we clarify that. because it sounds like they are just looking for peace here. That's the feeling, the overarching feeling that I get is your person just wants to have peace. Um, let's look to see here. This is kind of my hidden energies area here, the one that I usually use for that. But I think the question that I want to ask, and this would be a in the hidden energies category, but it's really what is the thing that's in between the two of you? What is getting in between you that makes it not the right time, that kind of cuts that passion off, that stops you from being able to cross the emotional expanse? Okay, and we have Hierophant. Okay, so there's something about this that is um, really would require them to cross an emotional expanse, I guess. There is it could be a difference in religion. It could be a difference in age. It could be there's some sort of difference upon which this person feels they will be uncomfortably judged, either by society or by, I like to say, their society. So their family, their friends, people that are surrounding them. There is something here that is causing them to, it could be as simple as they are with somebody and it would require them to get a divorce because they have a romantic inclination toward you. It could be something like that. Or it could even be that you guys have a bit of an age difference and they don't know how they can get past that. They don't know how they would be able to explain that or something to that effect. It may be something that they're building up into a bigger issue in their mind than it actually is. So keep that in mind as well. We'll learn a little bit more when we clarify. And now let's look too at what is coming next for you. And when I say what's coming next, again, it's not what does the future look like? It's really just kind of where are the energies pointing right now? Because of course, this is too many cards. I won't take these. With what we're looking for here is that free will is still going to be part of the picture. That doesn't change. But there are still directions that the energy is nudging right now, and it's that Nine of Wands in the reverse. And so this is this can be a couple of things, but what it is no longer being at war. Okay, so here you've got this I'm still guarding this. I'm still standing. There's been usually there's some injury, but there is definitely this sense of a long standing experience, a long standing battle. And here it's the battle ends somehow. It's not going to be continuing. It could be as simple as your person or you walking away from the battle, but that's not necessarily what it means. So we'll see when we clarify. And now it's time to clarify. This might be my favorite part. So here is the Mystic Mondays deck. And we're going to start with the Two of Wands in reverse. And so this was in the current energy. And it was that it was kind of that expanse, that emotional expanse that the two of you needed to cover in order to find common ground. So just taking the top card once again. And I'll show all of these to you. Um, Okay, so we have the Two of Wands, which was your current energy of not being able to cross that to get to that common ground, being able to cross that emotional expanse. There's something that causes you to not be able to do this. Then we have the Devil card here, but it's in reverse, and this is about the relinquishment of control of some kind. And so it's not necessarily relinquishment of control that you or your person has. It's something that has had control over you. So this is where, this could represent someone's addiction. It could represent someone's obsession or tendency to be obsessive. This is that kind of going away, and this is in the current energy. So you may notice that you are becoming a little bit more emotionally resilient. Here is becoming more discerning and more realistic. So in the upright, the Ten of Cups is a very too good to be true sort of energy. But here, the way that this has come out with the Two of Wands in reverse, one of the reasons that you aren't able to cross this emotional expanse is because they're no longer holding sway over you the way that they historically had been. There's something about you and your self worth, which we've seen time and time again coming through in these readings, and I'm feeling it coming through now, that is causing you to have a different and better, I guess, reaction overall. You're not following that same pattern, that same path that you had in the past. And it has something to do with not now becoming more discerning. I guess that's what it is. You're now becoming more discerning with the way that you're making decisions. And so that's happening in your current energy. So the fact that you guys aren't able to meet in the middle seems like it's very much a moving target, especially because of the changes that are happening here. But the changes in and of themselves don't look bad to me. They seem like they're moving you along the right path. And you guys are going to be better suited to each other when the time comes. And here we see, them making the call and just kind of almost the comment that the time hasn't come. So let's take a look here a little bit more in, and this is how they're feeling about the relationship. You ask them how they feel about the relationship, and they like the first thing they think is it's something where the timing wasn't right. Oh, I dropped something, and it all fell face down. Um, okay, we want the top card here, the Nine of Pentacles, and that one's about independence, and it's an emotional, wow, an emotional independence. So really, that's part of what has to happen as far as almost like a condition that has to be met in order for this relationship to be a little bit more successful. And they recognize that. So they see that the time is not yet. One of the things that would have to happen is for that emotional stability, and it's emotional stability, but it's like emotional independence. I really feel like it's more like that. And then we also have the Six of Wands in reverse, and that this is so the Six of Wands in the upright is victory. Oftentimes it's victory after a long battle, but in the reverse, what I'm strongly getting off of this card is that there has to be this is like your person's realizations about the relationship. This is amazing. So they realize the time is not now. They realize that some level of not just self-mastery but emotional independence has to occur here. So that's going to be dropping something that could be maybe a codependent tendency, and that need to win. So the desire to win may always be there, but almost that it needs to be overshadowed by the realization that you want the best thing to happen, even if that means something different from what you had pictured. And that's like an emotional state that this person is feeling like you need to be in, and in order for this relationship to be successful. So that is a really interesting sort of energy. It's a very emotionally mature sort of energy, and I feel like there's something else I wanted to tell you about this. I'll have to see if it comes to me again. It was just kind of something as the Six of Wands was coming out, but basically, so this is how this person is seeing and feeling about this relationship, and it is it's really intense that they would have this level of realization, because a lot of times the question is not whether you will get back together, and I feel like this is like that. Not it's the question is not so much whether your person is going to return, but how and when. And the answer to how is may come through, but the answer to when is almost never a time. It's almost always after you satisfy certain conditions, after you find this emotional independence, after you become more okay with the idea of not necessarily getting what you want. Then there's a time and a place, and you've become less discerning. You're becoming less discerning, or more discerning rather. There's a lot of change that's happening there, and it feels like this is necessary change. So let's look at this Knight of Wands in reverse, and this is how your person was feeling about you, and they were feeling like there's a lot of passion and passionate action that they can't take. And down here we saw, maybe there is some sort of something about it that's not properly traditional in a society that requires tradition. Could also be that there's, like I said, another relationship that stands in the way. And that's a single card. So we'll go ahead and take it. All right, so let's see here. The looking at the Knight of Wands, we have the Knight of Wands in reverse, and then to clarify, we have the Two of Wands in the upright, and then the Princess of Cups, which is kind of like a Page of Cups sort of feeling. To also to clarify, so that Page of Cups is, it's a beautiful emotion. It's also incredibly youthful, not super realistic. This Knight of Wands that is the main emotion that comes out of the main sense that comes out is a little bit more mature than what's driving it. And so this is just really loving and sweet and almost, it's almost naive and innocent in its the way that it feels, but this person is in no way naive or innocent, okay? Even though their emotions are a little bit, and they also, on some levels, have no trouble getting to you. The way that you see in the current energy, you guys are having a hard time coming together. If it weren't for this situation right here, they would have no trouble coming to you, um, emotionally. This would be, and it almost again feels like it would have to be a different time, or the circumstances somehow have to be different. But they have a very innocent sort of love toward you. This is something that, that's a great feeling. It's interesting because I can see that it's being stopped, or it's being, I guess there's something in the way, but I also see that it's just this really pure sort of emotion. That's a beautiful thing. So looking at this Page of Wands, which again, this was exposing some of those hopes and fears, and it's about, almost wishing that they didn't have to have the emotional tie. So they know they do have this emotional tie. They're trying to make it fall away. They recognize that they need to master that in order to be successful with you. Let's see what else comes out for that with the Page of Wands in reverse. They wish they didn't have, the curiosity that they have. Wish they could stop looking. That's such an interesting experience. There's that Knight of Wands in the upright this time, and so that's that fast, passionate, forward action. This is more about, that's fantasy. That's what they. Oh, okay, we got a couple of cards that want to come out. So we have the King of Wands. They want to be able to control it, establish control. We also have the Queen of Cups. This is more of that really deep and strong emotion. It's just, this is that innocent kind. The Queen of Cups is a little bit, I'm not going to say it's less innocent. It's still genuine love. But the main thing that I would say is that it is unadulterated in its flow. There is no staunching or stopping the love that comes from the Queen of Cups. And this person feels like they are not in a position to be able to give you that because they don't have sufficient control over the situation. And that's kind of, we see between this card and this card, the person's a little bit choked up and is unable to move forward. There's a lot of desire to move forward. That's really, like we said, what do we want to have happen? Well, they wish they could turn this king or this Knight of Wands upside down and have it be upright like it is over here. They would like to be able to pour that love out, but they need to be able to feel like they can control things a little bit more because something about this. So I see this energy that's supposed to be shared, but really feels more like it's you. That sense of something controlling something no longer matters to you, and it may be getting to that point with them, but I feel like that's a little bit stronger with you. And they may even be sort of feeding off of that energy or that emotion, but that's exactly what they're looking for. They want something to not matter. So let's look more closely into what that is, because this is the thing that matters. This is that, something doesn't fit in general society. Maybe something doesn't fit in my society. Okay, so something is causing them to overthink. We have the Eight of Swords that has come out in the reverse, and they want to be free of that. It's a pretty strong desire to be free of it, and it seems like a conscious desire to be free of it. They are aware that this sort of need to fit into a mold somehow. And this is spiritual guidance, okay? This is has that strong sense of religious implications. But this person feels like they have not been following the path that they need to follow, whether it is religious or otherwise, that it has not been moving them toward their own wish fulfillment, and that something here needs to change. So this is like, I mean, the emotion around them feels like a tower almost, but it's very internalized. It's very specific to them. It's them leaving a religion potentially. It's them leaving a family or a family group or something significant, but they've been awakened to the fact that this may be the direction they need to go. Like their mind is being opened, but it is in no way a comfortable process. So let's take a look at this Nine of Wands, because we see here that somehow the battle appears to be over. And this is where the energy is pointing right now. So it's not, here's your definite future. It's, okay, so, all right, that's a Six of Swords in reverse. Tell me more. Um, Basically, it's not that you're in the heat of battle anymore. So, what I don't know is how you got out of it. The Six of Swords in reverse would tell me that it's not completely over, or at least the maelstrom portion is not completely over. And then what do we have here? The Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This is a lack of self mastery. This is a lack of healing. This feels like somebody has disengaged and walked away because this expanse is too far. They're no longer, this could be you. They are no longer be feeling controlled by it. Wow. All right, let's break this down. So, basically, that's in that current energy. This expanse is not being crossed. There's this sense of that thing that maybe felt like it was too good to be true, maybe was. This is no longer controlling you in the same way that it was. Like you're coming out of it somehow. There's a recognition on your person's part that there's going to be a delay, or that the timing has to be right. And the timing can't really be right until there has been this personal sense of self mastery that we see there currently is not. And that we're not heading toward that immediately. That not saying it's not coming, just that's not the immediate next step. It's still going to be some motion as far as it's like a walking away or a disengaging and saying, okay, somehow I'm no longer going to play the same role in this as I have played. But it isn't because you're all healed. It's because more healing needs to occur, because more self mastery, emotional self mastery needs to happen. But there has to be, and your person recognizes that emotional independence, that I no longer need to win. I no longer need things to go exactly the way that I was hoping they'd go, you know. And your person is feeling stunted, but they're almost like giving into it, despite the fact that they know they could cross this emotional expanse to get to you. And they have a lot of deep love for you. And this is just the most innocent, delightful sort of love, which we see more of it over here. They wish they could express it. They wish they could make actions, but they also need to be able to control it, or else they can't move forward, even with all this love. And right now, there's on the surface, they just sort of wish they could ignore it and walk away. This is a person who could potentially have ghosted out because the emotions got too strong and they just locked up and didn't know what to do. Maybe the expanse is because this expanse is because of a situation in their life. There's a relationship, or there's a religious situation, or there's some sort of difference that they are afraid they cannot actually bridge the distance between you. And that's where we see this. But there's this hidden energy of them sort of wanting to just say, listen, you know what? I'm not getting happiness from this path that I'm on. This Eight of Swords is in the reverse, but I feel like that's more futuristic, and right now they're still doing an awful lot of overthinking. But looking a little bit into that, where is the energy going? We see that Nine of Wands in the reverse. We see that I'm not engaged in this battle anymore. I'm no longer standing guard. Um, but I still haven't healed and I still don't have all of that emotional self mastery, you know? It's almost like that era of taking a break because you're sitting at a crossroads and can't figure out how to get across it, but you also realize there's not necessarily a reason to rush. So, this is where we are with pile one. We are going to go ahead and go into an extended. We're going to look a little bit more deeply into this dynamic between you and this person. We see how they feel about you, and all of this love is coming out. But we also see that it's very much based on, hey, I would need to be able to control this, and I don't feel like I can move forward. They're very much associating that inability to move forward with you and this relationship and the circumstances around it. So, we're going to take a little bit more of a look at that. We're also going to look at what kind of happens here because we see this disengagement here. So, we know that there's healing that's required, and this is really just more healing, that sense of needing the emotional self mastery and just being able to be able to function in those situations without feeling like there's a cycle that you're going to fall into, and without feeling like you yourself are losing control or even that you truly need that control. Because as we see up here, it's almost a relinquishment of that control that needs to happen in order for the happiness to be possible. You have to let go of that to be able to open yourself to this. So we'll look a little bit more into what that actually means, especially taking this energy into consideration. And that's what we'll look at in the extended reading. So if this one has resonated with you, please remember to like and share and subscribe if you are so inclined. If you scroll down, there's a link to the extended reading for each of the piles. So check this one out if, again, if you are so inclined. And I will look forward to seeing you there or at another reading. So here we are with pile two. And so if you chose pile two, that's the one with the geode with the amethyst crystals on the inside. I'll be reading for you today with the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Tarot of Dragons. These are a couple of decks that they look a little different from each other, but they work really well together. So we're going to start by looking at the current energy between you and your person. And you remember that the focus on this reading is whether or not your person is going to return to you. And it's like we talked about. Okay, so we have just taken the top card, 10 of spells. It's like we talked about earlier, though. You could be, even, and some people are living with their person, they're married to their person, but there is such an emotional distance that they still feel very much like they're in separation, and then you've got people that have not spoken with their person in quite some time. So the current energy between the two of you is this 10 of spells. And so the 10 of spells is like the 10 of wands. It's a difficult burden that is, there's also a sense of, and you can see it on the card here, a sense of a journey, but it's a very burdened, difficult journey. And we'll see a little bit more when we clarify. But right now, this energy between the two of you is very difficult. It's very heavy with something right now, and it's like you can't, neither of you seems like you can really let go of it or even walk away from it right now. So that's kind of that current energy that's happening between the two of you. So now, if we look at how your person is feeling about the relationship itself, that's a single card, the Hermit. So they're off in their thinking cave. And, the Hermit goes in the thinking cave to find solutions, to find answers, and also there's some wisdom and growth that occurs there. In some cases, you've got to go off into that hermit's cave in order to gather your wisdom and to really gather your thoughts and understand what's happening. So that's kind of what this person associates that feeling of needing to do that with this relationship. So this relationship has really caused them to go off and think. It might have also caused them to go off and hide based upon what they've seen, but we definitely see that it makes them think and they recognize that about it. So Let's see how they're feeling about you. This was how they're feeling about the relationship. This is that current energy that exists between the two of you. So here we're going to take a look at how they are feeling about you. That was quick. Okay, and we have starlight. This is like the star. So you're like a wish for them. You are so when the 9 of cups comes out, if that's how they're feeling, that's like the fulfillment of this wish. But it's like a divine push in your direction. This they are very drawn to you, very attracted to you, and may not be completely aware even of why this is so strong for them. We'll see a little bit more when we clarify, but there's definitely a very strong attraction, and it feels like a divine push in your direction. Also feels like they don't have a ton of control over it. So that's kind of interesting. Just not, it's an extra nuance. I don't always get off of that card, but I'm getting it right now. So let's see what it is that they actually wish would happen. Like, what do they want to have happen? And I will say that a lot of times when I ask this question, I get some hopes and fears that pop out when we see what do they want, how do they feel about it. Okay, so we have the Six of Boons. Boons are earth energy, and um, the Six of Boons then in the reverse is about it's about unequal give and take. That's really what it's about. And so your person, okay, I'm going to step back a little bit. So your person is, there is something about your relationship that has not been equal give and take. And if they have ghosted out, if they've disappeared on you, or if they've retracted, they may be very abundantly aware of what it is. But there's this sense of something that hasn't been equally shared between the two of you, and it's energy that is not equal. They wish it could be made equal, but they don't necessarily want to do whatever it would require to make it equal. They wish they could just like hit a button and it would automatically send them back to a place where things were better before things got more difficult, that sort of thing. Um, let's see what did get difficult, because that's kind of what I want to look at here. This is where I often put hidden energy, and this could also be hidden energy, but this is that what is kind of in between that's causing things to be difficult. Why the separation? And it can be hidden energy around the separation, but why the separation? What's at the heart of this? Two cards wanted to come out there. So the Ace of Boons and the Ace of Challenges. Well, couple of aces wanted to come out there, but let's take a look at them. So the Ace of Boons is that earth energy. It's in the reverse. It's that sense of a door not opening, but it's also a development not happening. The Ace of Challenges is about truth, or something that's being a new truth to be gained, or something that has been learned or is being learned. We're going to just go ahead and set those right next to one another. So this is again, what is it that's making this so difficult? Where there's a truth here that is so uncomfortable that potentially it's sent your person into hiding. It's about this wish. It's about this divine push that's, that they know that they've kind of already made a bit of a mess of, but they can't get rid of it. Something they can't develop now. They can't move on to the next step. There's something about them that is acutely aware of that, although I would not necessarily say they understand all of, this. I would just say they know they're running up against kind of a wall. They probably even know how much you are involved in that, because this energy between the two of you being so burdensome and so difficult. But it's really, some new truth has come out here that they have had a really hard time internalizing. But because they can't get past it, they can't get to the wisdom, they can't get to the place that they need to get, a door isn't opening for them. That's something that's actually impacting them from a very real sense. Even if it's a spiritual experience, it's very real. So let's look here to see where the energy is headed. So this is what the energy is favorable for. You add your free will to this, basically. This is the set of circumstances to which you and your person will be adding your free will. This is the direction that the energies seem to be pointing right now. And we have sunlight. So the sun, you are headed toward happiness. which is interesting. I wonder what causes you, what kind of bridges you from that that difficult sense of that we're seeing over here, and the I wish I had done things right. I wish that I were in a place, but now things are very heavy. How then do we get to that sunlight? So let's go ahead and clarify. And like I said, I'm going to clarify with the Tarot of Dragons. We're going to start here with the Ten of Spells, which, as I said, it's like that Ten of Wands sort of energy. So we've got the Nine of Cups, which um, we mentioned the Nine of Cups as when that you are the Nine of Cups for this person. You're that wish that gets fulfilled in the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment. What else? What else is in that current energy between the two of you? So there's a mutual energy of wish fulfillment, and there's also this Queen of Swords and a sort of opening up. So I'll hold these up for you. And the Ten of Spells, this feeling of something being heavy and a long journey that you're on. It's a difficult journey. This is still, it's being shored up by this wish fulfillment. And the fact that you guys got to spend the time together that you did is actually a huge wish fulfillment for both of you. It has opened you up in a way. So both of you may be feeling a lot less vulnerable now as a result of the experiences that you've had. Your person is off in their thinking cave. There's a truth that came out. Doors didn't open. There's a wall that they can't get past. Things are very difficult, but there is something that the two of you opened up for one another that is going to become evident as we go on. So, this is that it's not a lack of discernment in this case with the Queen of Swords. This is the Queen of Swords in reverse. It's that ability to let something in. So in the upright, a lot of times, and in this case as well, it would be cutting something out. So this is not cutting something out. And I wouldn't say it's not cutting something out that you should be either. I'm just saying that rather than making a swift, decisive decision to cut things out, it's more of a I'll pay attention. I understand that there may be more to this sort of experience. And it's brought about by having experienced this wish fulfillment, this Nine of Cups. So that's all in your current energy. And that is actually really powerful current energy to have. Because when I first saw this 10 of spells, I was kind of like, well, that's a little heavy. I wonder, tell us a little bit more about that. What's happening with that? This makes it seem a little bit more like it's part of a journey and not just this difficult thing. Let's take a look now at your person and how they're feeling about the relationship. So the Hermit is what came out. That's what we're clarifying. But with that, we got that this relationship has a tendency to send your person into their thinking cave. And so when I have multiple cards come out, I just like to grab the top one, unless I'm drawn to pull more than that. So let's take a closer look at these guys. We've got the Hermit that came out there, and to clarify it, we have the Shaman over here in the upright and the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. So I'll start with the Nine of Pentacles. This is them realizing that they lack the emotional independence. This has come up now twice as emotional independence. But they're feeling here like they lack the emotional independence to be successful in this relationship, and it has made them turn tail and run. They are also aware on some level that they are fully capable of manifesting the healing, the need, everything they need for this relationship. They also have, and that scares them. These are some of the truths that have come through for them. I don't feel like I'm emotionally ready for this, and yet I kind of have no excuse. I'm a freak out now and take off. And so that's basically what it feels like has happened if I were to put it in incredibly plain terms. Um, that's a tough place to be. But by the same token, it explains it if your person has suddenly become scarce or has suddenly become very distant. It's about feelings of their own shortcomings, but it's also about feeling like it's not enough of a shortcoming. You should be able to overcome this. It's a very difficult sort of realization for them. So that's how they feel about your relationship. This is what's in your current energy. And so there's a lot of positivity and sort of them having to face realities. And let's now see, let's clarify how they're feeling about you. We have that starlight so that you seem to be they're feeling pushed towards you divinely. Here we have the lovers in reverse. They feel like they don't have a choice. There's something between the two of you that doesn't allow you to successfully come together. And let's hold these up. So we have the lovers in reverse, and we also have the fool in reverse. This is them not coming toward you, not taking that leap of faith. The fool is a leap of faith, and this has actually got a little bit of an element of them feeling a little bit foolish. It's not just because of their perceived shortcomings, and the fact that it's like kind of it's rubbed in their own face that they feel like they could do it. But there's something that they don't have a choice about right here. It's like um, I almost feel like there's something about you that they feel like like you have somebody that you're with or they think you're with or something like that that makes them feel like they can't jump out or jump in. They can't move forward, but you are their wish fulfillment. But on some level, they feel like they don't have a choice and they can't jump and move forward with you. But what they would like to do, and this, I almost wonder, I don't feel like these are as related as I would have expected. So this was them saying, I wish we could go back to a time when things were a little bit simpler, when I hadn't, messed up this dynamic of give and take. So let's clarify that one. Get a little bit more, because sometimes once you clarify, there's more information that comes out that makes things a lot easier to understand. So we've got one of our cards here, just taking that top one. And, so this is in, again, they're kind of the place of their hopes and fears a little bit, because it's about what they want to have happen. But a lot of times you ask that question and you get, well, stop this or make this not happen. So yeah, the Ace of Cups in the upright is about the new flow of emotion. So they wish that that flow of emotion could happen. And this Four of Cups in the reverse is, so in the upright, it's about disappointment. And in the reverse, they're wishing, this is a reiteration of part of the energy we felt about this. This was I wish that I hadn't already messed this up. This is, I wish that I hadn't already disappointed you. I wish things could start over with this new beautiful flow of love and things would be all equal again. And they wish that they could do that, but there's something here that says they're not making says they're not making the moves forward to make it happen. So they're stuck in this cave trying to think things through. They don't feel like they're quite emotionally prepared for it. They know darn well they have the capability to make it happen. And that's even a little bit frustrating for them, especially because they come up against you. They realize you are their wish fulfillment, but there's some reason that they feel like they don't have a choice here and they can't do it. They can't jump off. They can't come toward you. And so, yeah, despite the fact that they want to close up and run away, you've caused them to, they can't not be on this journey. Like they have to now acknowledge that they've met you, their Nine of Cups. They have to also deal with the fact, I guess, they don't really have to acknowledge it yet, but they have to deal with the fact that they have more ability to be vulnerable now, and it is because of this situation. So it's both opening them up and exposing, this incredibly tender place that makes them want to close, as well as well, it's doing all of that. So it's opening them up and making them say, well, I can be less vulnerable or more vulnerable now because I've had this experience, but they're completely not ready to do it. And you can see it that they want it, but they aren't capable of moving themselves toward it. So let's look a little bit more at this Ace of Challenges in the upright, at this Ace of Boons in the reverse. And so this was what was kind of that hidden energy of what was getting in between the two of you. So there have been these truths that have come out that have made them very uncomfortable. There's a wall that, and maybe it's made you uncomfortable too. I don't want to rule that out or not properly respect that, because sometimes you get scared too, but I see, if that's the case, you've really worked through it. So let's get a little bit more clarity. We've got the Sire of Cups in reverse. So, okay. This is about, it's like the King of Cups, and it's in the reverse. The King of Cups in the upright is very much concerned with appearances, how things look, making sure that they appear emotionally confident, that they appear emotionally stable. In the reverse, there's a sense that that is not going to be possible. And that's what it feels like in this context. And so they realize the truth of it, that, that you are this wish fulfillment. And they're kind of like, well, I can't remain emotionally stable under the circumstances. Let's see about this wall that they're hitting. Okay, so to clarify that, we have the Six of Swords. Felt like this was going to come out earlier. This one is about healing, and it's about a need for healing in order to be able to get this wall to come down. And so your person, probably you to a certain degree, although I'm also getting the sense that you've already embarked on this healing a little bit, needs that in order to be able to come back to this situation. So I get the sense that there will still be communication or interaction between the two of you, but the question isn't so much how does that work, when does it happen? It's more about what kind of has to be crossed. What do you have to do in order to get there? And so something definitely has to happen here. So they would like to be able to come back to this place where they can be close with you and they can have this exchange of energy. They know you're amazing, but there is some place where they feel like they don't have a choice. And so kind of trying to understand what that's about and being able to get past it, as well as this feeling that they lack the emotional, what did I say? Emotional independence, to be successful here. But let's look at this sun card, because this is the direction that you guys are pointing. So that's amazing energy. That's like the happiest card in the deck. That's what you'll hear people say. So just taking this top card, we have the Sire of Swords. Okay. That's a little bit of a short-sighted card. So maybe it's happiness because you decide to go ahead and compartmentalize. They decide to go ahead and compartmentalize and not do the healing. And then here we have the High Priestess in reverse. That is almost how it feels. Like you guys need to be careful that you don't pursue happiness in the face of, not connecting to your intuition, not connecting to the universe, and not doing the healing. So this is the Sire of Swords. It's like the King of Swords, but it's in reverse. And the feeling that comes off of it in this instance, and that comes off of it sometimes for me, is that feeling of not taking a look at the big picture. So it's that sometimes you just have to take a step back and make sure that the big picture still means kind of the same thing to you, and that there isn't something that you've missed. This feels like a push for happiness while maybe not looking at that big picture, and maybe not getting connected up with that intuition, the higher power, the higher self. I would be careful about this, because sometimes it means not really getting that healing, and that's what has to happen here. We see that in order for this wall to come down, there has to be an acceptance of this overall, this truth that the two of you have discovered. But there also has to be some healing in order for that wall to come down. So if the place that you're heading is not necessarily a place of healing, then it could be a longer journey. Here we see it's already feeling like a pretty long journey. But you also are more open and more vulnerable to what is coming. So it may be that you just need to take a more circuitous route to get to the place that you ultimately are going. And remember, this isn't your end all be all. So this is that almost pursuit of happiness at any cost sort of experience. Um, and we'll look a little bit more into that. We're going to go into the extended here in a minute, and we'll look at what this means, because this is the pursuit of happiness, which is bold and beautiful and exactly, where maybe you should be, but not necessarily at the expense of being short-sighted or not being connected up with the universe and those energies, because it could mean that it takes you longer to get where you want to go, because that healing can't take place and the truth can't truly be absorbed. But this is something that has to happen on both of your parts. And so this is, when we look up here, your person still has to come through this thinking cave experience. They still have to find some of that emotional independence, that emotional ability to move forward on their own. And although they possess it, it doesn't necessarily mean they know what order to put things in, especially because they're like, we've got the star or the starlight card, and it's like it reminds me of them being starstruck. They know, we see in their current energy and your current energy, that you guys know what you want now. They know what they want. They're afraid to go after it because there's something about it that makes it so they feel like they can't. And satellite to that, there's something about this that they feel like they've already kind of messed up about this truth, but definitely about the way they've acted. And so they wish they could they could like have a do over, or just be able to open up the flow of love again, you know. So let's also take a closer look at that. You know, it's the dynamic between the two of you. It's how they feel about you. It's let's look at all of kind of this pile, and this pile a little bit deeper when we go into the extended. And then we're also going to look at this to understand, you know, of course, taking this into account, what is really what is blossoming for you in this situation? What has got us going forward? So that's what we'll do when we go over to the extended. If this one resonated with you, please do like and share and subscribe so that we can stay together. And then if you scroll down, you should be able to see the link for the extended down there in the text underneath the video. Hopefully, I'll see you there. If not, then I look forward to seeing you again in another reading. Here we are with pile 3. And so this is the pile with the amethyst that has been tumbled. This is a really smooth, beautiful one. I'm going to be reading for you from the Constellation Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Revelations Tarot. I love the way those two decks work together. And we're looking at what's happening with your person and kind of, are they returning? Will your person return? So as we get started, we're going to jump right in by looking at kind of the current energy that's happening between the two of you. When I have a bunch of them come out like this, a lot of times I just like to take the top card unless I'm guided to take more than one. So we have the Seven of Wands. So the current energy that's happening between the two of you is it's almost like the energy of having the high ground in some sort of battle, but it's like it's interesting because it's kind of this sense of you and them against the world, even though it's interesting because I don't know that you're sharing this experience. We'll see a little bit more of that when we clarify. This could be more of something that's happening in the energetic realm, or just maybe it's the way that you two are thinking about each other and you're thinking about the good times. There's a lot of ways that this could be coming out. I'll be interested to see what happens when we get a couple of more cards out with it. Let's see what your person is feeling about the relationship in general. So the relationship in general, from your person's perspective. Is this a single card? Yes. Oh, the Ten of Pentacles. So the Ten of Pentacles it is really just an ideal situation. It is something that people dream of. It's that happy household. You know, if you want kids, you've got kids. If you've got resources to take care of everybody, so everybody has what they need. Feels like you know, they feel good about things. There's a very positive feeling to this card. It's very all bases are covered kind of feeling. So that's how this person feels about the energy that two of you share. So when I say how they feel about the relationship, it's not necessarily here's how the relationship played out, or it's the energy of the relationship. Here's how they see it. Here's how they feel about it. Let's see now how they feel about you. And we've got, oop, I'm dropping one. Okay, so we've got the Pegasus card in the reverse. Pegasus in this deck is a lot like, it's a manifestation card. So it's a lot like the Magician card. In the reverse, though, it feels like they are unable to manifest. And this is specifically their feelings around you. So they feel like their hands are tied a little bit. There's something about this situation that they can't seem to maybe control the way they'd like to control it, or they can't make it turn out the way that they want to. There's that sense of that. That'll be an interesting one to clarify because I can't tell if it's because your person wants more control than they should have, or if it's because they just really feel like they're at a loss and they're unable to affect outcomes in their own kind of situation. So we'll look a little bit closer at that, but they feel like their hands are tied somewhat. Let's look now to see what it is that your person would want to have happen. So a lot of times when we do this card, when I ask this question, it'll show kind of their hopes and fears in a lot of cases, but it's really what do we want? What do they want to see? Okay, so there's a decision and it's a hard to make type of decision. Okay, first off, they don't want to have to make the decision, but here what comes out is I wish this was already taken care of, you know. I wish something so difficult that is in front of me would not be in front of me. But ultimately, what it comes out to be is for them a choice. And we'll see a little bit more about that one, but they're very uncomfortable with this choice. I get that sense. Um, and there's definitely something that comes between you. You know, we can see it here with the Pegasus card in the reverse. This is them feeling like they just don't have control over things. They can't make it happen. But your relationship is just this amazing dream come true for them. But there's this energy between the two of you that is actually fairly. It seems positive, but it could also be that sense of when the two of you are together. Um, Whether you've been together recently or not, but when the two of you are together, there is this amazing sort of you and them against the world sort of emotion that just keeps coming out. But let's take a look at maybe why things aren't working out the way, in a more communicative way, or why there is this separation, or kind of this is us getting at the crux of what's the hidden energy here around this relationship, that is what's getting in the way, what's really kind of crossing it. Um, there's a lot of cards that came out, but we just want that one. It's the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And so this is really about a lesson that hasn't been learned. So the Page of Pentacles in the upright is about learning. Now, Pentacles tend to be slow and steady. This is about the material world. Pentacles are about the material world. The Page of Pentacles is a youthful energy that recognizes that there's a lot to learn and is hungering for that knowledge and coming for it. In the reverse, though, you have someone who hasn't learned something. They may not realize that there's a lesson here that they need to learn, or it could be that they do realize it, but it's a really uncomfortable or scary kind of lesson. And if it's associated with this decision that has to be made, or this choice here, this could be particularly difficult, but you could be kind of forcing them to look at it, with this way that you make them feel and with the way that they associate things with you. But usually when they run into things that are amazing, they're able to have at least some impact, but it feels like they're not as capable, or they don't feel as capable of having that impact. And we'll of course learn a little bit more about each of these when we come to do some clarifications. But before we do, let's take a look at where the energy is pointing you. So this is not necessarily the future of where you're headed. This is, if it's, what did I say? I had another reading where I said this is the energy to which you will add your own free will. So you guys get to add your own free will, but this is the energy we get to today, that you're heading toward. And so I see here a sense of partnership in the Two of Cups, but in the Queen of Swords, I also see a feeling of discernment. So this is where the two of you are headed, discernment and partnership. Man, I cannot wait to clarify this, because that could be any number of things. It feels very much like this is you and your person together in partnership, but I don't want to jump the gun, and I want to go ahead and clarify. So, you know, in the other readings, we saw less definitive sort of energy that came out. But again, until we clarify, we don't truly know what this is going to be. So we'll start with that Seven of Wands. There's that it's such a strong energy between the two of you. Um, it's really interesting. That's the first thing that kind of popped out when, well, it's the first card that came out, but as it was coming out, I was like, these people, this is kind of amazing. So you have the Two of Wands in reverse, and you have the Eight of Pentacles in the upright. So this is two people that have already come a long way. And it doesn't have to have all happened here in this life. Certainly doesn't have to have happened together with each other, but there has been a lot of ground covered already, but there is some emotional distance that has not yet been covered, and you guys have not figured out how to cover that distance yet. This may be why you're seeing this separation. And of course, if there's something that needs to be learned here, but hasn't yet been learned, that could factor into it as well. But we've got this Eight of Pentacles, which is this is one of my very favorite energies, and when it comes out like this. So sometimes it means work, sometimes it is working on something and until you become a master at it. Sometimes though it is emotional self mastery. It's really that your mastery of your own self. And what I see here is this is the card that made me say that you guys had already come kind of a long way and you recognize each other. There's this soul recognition here, but for some reason, there's also a like an expanse that you can't quite cross. So that's in your current energy. Let's take a look now at this Ten of Pentacles. And this Ten of Pentacles is how they see the relationship or the union between the two of you. That's what your energy coming together gives them this impression. It is, okay, a lot of fear. A lot of fear. Like, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen, and yet it terrifies me and I'm scared, you know. The Queen of Cups in the reverse is, okay, so it's fear, but let me be clearer than that. This is really about like a codependent tendency that is triggered in them as a result of them. It's kind of cyclical, but they are triggering you, and it's causing you to make a response, and you are triggering them with your response that's causing them to be behave in a codependent way, to run, to put distance between the two of you. It's a defense mechanism, and this is causing them to get defensive, your own responses to the things they're doing to you. So again, this is like a cycle. They are seeing you as this amazing other half, this amazing household. Like, together the two of you would be this partnership that honestly we see coming up in the future. There is a ton of fear around, what if this doesn't really work out? What if this isn't what I think it is? What if we can't make it happen? Then we've got some self-fulfilling prophecy sort of energy over here, where they are, and it's not because they want to sabotage things. It's a natural reaction based on the types of experiences they've had in the past, and it's just sort of a reaction or a response to what they're experiencing based on the way that they're wired from childhood in a lot of cases. Some of you, it could be things that happened more recently, but a lot of you, it's going to be far enough back to be childhood. So let's get a couple of cards to clarify this Pegasus card in reverse. And remember, that's like the Magician card in reverse. And this is how this person feels about you. So they feel like they don't have control. They can't make things happen. I wonder if they feel like they can influence things. I don't get the sense that they absolutely feel incapable of that. But there is the sense that they're feeling like their hands are tied. So there is some new perspective here that they don't have. And the thing is, like, I get this feeling that they know. They know it when they see it, that they lack a certain perspective. Like this that's happening here, this codependent behavior, they know when they're doing it. They don't necessarily, they don't have the ability to get past it. There's a lot of strength that is that you give them, actually. So you're lending them a lot of the strength to sort of deal with the situation. They don't feel like they have the capacity to do what they need to do, or the capability, rather, to do what they need to do. But it has a lot to do with this new perspective that they haven't quite gathered. So at this point, they don't realize what they are capable of. They are sapping a lot of your strength. So if you're feeling like you have less, and yet you're not doing anything to really deserve that, you're not using it in that way, there is a lot of it that they have been sapping. And again, this is not intentional. It's just sort of, it's part of that codependent response to this energy that they feel when they're around you. There's a lot of fear that happens here. It's very reactive. That's one of the things that I see that happens here. There's a strong cycle that starts to occur when you become close with this person. So let's see what they want to have happen. They talk about there being a difficult choice they have to make, or a difficult decision that they have to make, but they don't want to have to do it. That's very clear. Um, so, okay, we have the King of Cups in reverse. Yeah. That's an uncomfortable energy. I'll get to that in a minute. I can understand why they wouldn't want to experience that uncomfortable energy. So, the King of Cups in reverse is not being emotionally stable. And to some people, this is like the worst thing in the world. But they have a choice between feeling like they are emotionally stable and actually being happy. And it's a very difficult choice to make because everybody's circumstances are going to be a little bit different. So you're going to have some people that are in relationships or situations where it's more difficult to extricate themselves. But the bigger issue is that they're afraid of feeling like they don't have it together emotionally. And so to have this in the upright, the King of Cups is very emotionally stable. He's in control of things. There's a lot of control inherent there, emotional control. And here, he's in less emotional control. He's not going to be seen the same way. This would be a very vulnerable place to be. He either gets to be vulnerable or and be happy. So he could be vulnerable and find his happiness, which would be going in your direction, or he can hold on to his mysteries, not be vulnerable, and sort of be in this place where he's not as happy. And that's a definite difficult situation. He wishes he did not have to make that decision. That does actually make an awful lot of sense now that we see the clarifiers. So let's see here with what's clarifying this Page of Pentacles, because this is one that I was itching to clarify before. This is kind of what's crossing you. It's the energy that's crossing you, but it's also it's hidden from you. So it's not necessarily something that you'd be able to see. So we've got the Seven of Swords. All right, that one's not about deception. That one's not about deception. When I see the Seven of Swords come out, sometimes people will immediately just kind of be crestfallen. And for sure, it's difficult energy, but it's not the same thing. It's not deception. This is about self-trust. Okay, it's about trust, but it's self-trust. And then we also have the King of Swords in reverse. And so this is also about self trust, but it's like a lack thereof. So this is a person who squeezes their eyes shut so that they don't have to learn some very difficult thing because they don't trust themselves to be able to deal with it. Basically, what they're in need of, and this could apply to you too. So check it out. If they're in need of some inner child work, I wouldn't be surprised. This is a person who, when they come up against certain things, and we definitely see that here, when they come up against certain things, they have a difficult reaction to it that may not be really particularly useful. So they lack some self trust. They've got some lessons they're unable to learn here, and it's partially because, like I said, they have their eyes squeezed shut. They kind of refuse to look at the big picture, to do more of the learning. If they were to able to do that, if they were able to trust themselves, which that's where I was going with the inner child work, because that's one of the things that you do as a course of inner child work. It's a matter of the places in your development where very difficult things happen to you. You essentially go back and reparent that version of yourself. So if you were 6, it's the 6-year-old version of you. What did it need? What did the 6-year-old version of you need? You go back and you give your 6-year-old self whatever it is, That is a way that you can build self trust, and it feels like it may be needed on both parts. And also, there are lessons that will unfold as a result. And of course, all of this is fairly hidden because that's just the nature of things. It's not either of you keeping this from yourselves because you are, weak or don't want to see it. Clearly, there's plenty of strength here, even though a lot of it seems to be coming from you. Still, a lot of it will grow and it kind of builds on itself just doing this sort of work. So let's take a look at this future because here it looks like there's this partnership, there's discernment, like there's good decisions. Let's look at this Two of Cups first and just kind of see what wants to come out to clarify that. So we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and we're going to go ahead and grab one more cup on this, or maybe it'll be a cup. One more card on this one. It is not. It is a Nine of Wands. Okay, so this is interesting. There's a partnership here that comes from letting go and stop trying. Somebody's going to let go and stop trying at something. May not be this situation, but that's what opens the door. And this isn't too far off in the future. Like this is, we don't know what the time frames are ever in tarot because time doesn't really exist in that sense. And what we're asking is not necessarily from within the realm of time. But a lot of times we say, hey, when's something going to happen? And what comes back is, here are the circumstances that would need to be met in order for this to happen. So when that happens, then you have your answer. But it's not always, hey, it's going to be a certain number of days or weeks or months or whatever. A simple answer like that. So we've got Temperance in the reverse. Okay. So this is about, I'm going to break this whole thing down. This is kind of the energy that's coming your direction, or that you're heading in the direction of this. So there's a partnership here and there is discernment. However, this partnership is, the two of you may well come back together, but this has to do with partnership within self and finding your higher self. So the thing is though, and this complicates matters, the two of you are very much bonded. So finding yourself kind of amounts to finding them anyway. So feeling like this door is not opening or you have to walk away from something is truly not necessarily walking away from this relationship. It may just be saying, oh my goodness, I get it now. I get that we are inextricably intertwined and I couldn't walk away if I wanted to. So the good news is I don't really want to. But there's this discernment here that says, and I want to make sure that as things go forward, I get treated a certain way, that things work a certain way, but there is a peace, a peacefulness that kind of comes with this, this ability to have discernment. And it's basically the calm, even if you're in the situation where things are not balanced, where things are not equal and they're very challenging, like you're still going to be okay. And again, this is shared energy. This isn't just you. This is really interesting because it's like both of you. What this looks like to me, and I'm going to have to look at this a little bit more deeply in the extended because it sounds a little too good to be true, right? I mean, so it's the two of you. In the big scheme of things, maybe it's exactly what has to happen, but this, I just want to understand it a little bit more deeply. So it looks like the two of you basically plug into your intuition and into the universe and find a lot of these answers that are currently eluding you. There is the equivalent of inner child work or inner child work itself that has to happen in order for all of this to occur, because this is all just, it's not the outlines of something positive. It's like the guts of something positive. It's calmness in the heart of, grace under pressure, calm in the middle of a storm. This is partnership with yourself, even when things don't work out for you. Here you have, this is like what you guys have spurred each other toward. So it's really amazing in that sense because, you have caused each other to learn these amazing lessons, but it's not easy work. Just because you have thrown each other headlong into this learning does not necessarily mean, like, some people don't get very far into the learning, and that's very painful, difficult place to be. They'll get stuck here in the codependent reaction, in the fear, in the lack of that new perspective. But here I get the sense that you're moving past it. So that's what we're going to look at as we go into the extended. I'm curious to understand for you a little bit more of what's going on here with this partnership. Is it truly the two of you coming back together and revisiting this amazing dynamic that you have, or is it development within yourself? Because I definitely see the development within yourself, but I don't see anybody ruling out the two of you coming together. So it's not necessarily a super definitive, yes, you will come back, you will have this reunion, but I almost get the sense that you're already in union and that there is likely something that's likely to happen on the physical in the physical realm. So I would not be at all surprised to see your person coming back, but it looks like the conditions that have to be met have to do with this hidden energy. So, of course, we can look at that, but it also has to do with them kind of getting past the codependent tendencies here, and they've got to stop sapping your strength. Let's take a look here at the dynamic between the two of you because it feels very much you're the one like presenting this situation that presents a choice to them. But and we see that they feel very strongly that they don't feel ready to make this choice or worthy of it, and there's a lot of fear clouding things. Let's just understand a little bit more clearly almost how they feel about you and this and the situation and what that dynamic truly is. So that's what we're going to look at when we get into the extended reading. If this one resonated with you, I would say please like, share, subscribe so that we can stay together. This is definitely energy that is very reminiscent of some of the readings that we've seen lately. So this is one where if you chose pile 3, there may be some there in the Soulmate series, especially is probably where I'd look, but that you may want to take a look at to get a little bit more insight. So anyway, I look forward to either seeing you off in the extended here in the next couple minutes or at another reading at some point in the future.